Hey there guys, how's it going? This is Vishnaik back again with a new tutorial. And in today's tutorial, we are actually going to get into the scripting part inside Unity Engine. And what we are going to do is we are going to write a simple script and attach those scripts to our game objects to make it functional inside our gaming engine. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get started. So I've already loaded up our Unity engine and it's fired up over here. And this is the exact example that we were working in our previous video as well. But in this video, I have deleted one component. That sphere is of no use in this example. So we'll be using these three game objects in this example. And basically what I'm looking at in this example is I want these two boxes to rotate and revolve around our sun. And likewise, I want our sun as well to rotate on its own axis. Alright, so let's make that happen. So what we are going to do is we are going to go into our project panel over here. And let's create a new folder, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder, name it as scripts, scripts. Alright. And let's enter into our scripts folder. I'm going to go ahead and create a new C# script. And let's name this script as Revolve. Maybe you can name it whatever you want to name. But this suits my requirement for now. So as soon as I clicked on enter, you can see there are some information pre-available to us inside our script. Now it's the basic information and it has also loaded up the use cases and libraries inside our script. Now what we are going to go ahead and do is we are going to double click on our Revolve script and it's going to load up into Visual Studio. Alright, so I'll be explaining all of this in detail in our further videos, but I think the script which I'm going to write in this tutorial is pretty simple. So you would definitely follow, but if you are not, I'm going to go ahead and do a detailed video on that as well. So alright, let's start scripting. So what I'm going to do is right now, as you can see, we named our project this script as Revolve, and therefore the name of the class is given as Revolve. Now let's introduce few things into our script. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce vector3. Now vector3 is a component where you can make changes in your all the three components, that is X, Y, and Z. So if you want to make and update changes in X, Y, and Z component and call it into your Unity engine, we use this variable vector3. Alright, so I'm calling vector3. And into vector3, I'm going to name this as maybe movement. Alright, you can name it whatever you want to name. And let us introduce our three axes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to and it's going to be an integer, and let us write as xi, yi, and zi. You can name whatever you want to name. Alright, so basically what this method does is over here void start. If you can look at this method, what it does is as soon as your game starts into the play mode, it goes ahead and starts reading the script written inside this start method. Alright, so and then later this it does the same with the update. So later it's going to update whatever is written inside this update method. So let's start scripting into our start method. What I want to do is I want to call this movement into our so I'll be calling this movement into our and make it equal to so I'm going to give new vector3 values. Alright, so what you can do is you can go ahead and give any value. If you want to hard code a value, you can hard code it inside this box over here, maybe 35. And however, I don't want to hard code values. I actually want to control those values inside our Unity engine. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to call our integer xi, yi, and zi. All right, so I'm going to call this into our start function, and into our update function, we are going to update this information inside our inspector panel, inside our inspector panel. So if you look at our inspector panel, let's go to our inspector panel, any inspector panel for that matter. Let me take this object. So this is how our inspector panel looks like. So in update function, you can definitely attach any of the functions from inside this inspector panel. You can call directly inside your script over here into update function, and you can use those functionalities and make changes however you want to make into your scripts. Now we'll slowly be entering into quite a lot of stuff. There now you can control lighting, you can control the material sphere, and there are a lot of examples. Actually, you can also add components. There are tons and tons of components that you can add, more than thousands of components that you can add and later script on top of that. But presently, we are interested in giving the movement to our objects. Right now, the script is not attached to any of the game objects. We have just created the script. Later, we are going to update and attach it to our game object. But right now, we are just creating our script. But keeping that in mind, what are the properties that we want actually to be present in our game objects? Now, the first thing which comes to my mind is our game objects should actually have the property to revolve and rotate, right? Those are the two options that should definitely be present in our game objects in this example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call our transform, and inside our transform there is an option called rotation. I'll be calling our rotation option inside our transform. So because we have already updated our xi, yi and zi option inside, all right, it's gonna be confusing if I explain you in that way. Let's just go ahead and write this script, and I'll show you. I'll definitely show you how this is gonna work like. Okay, so let's enter into our script now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call transform by writing transform. But here in transform, you can see I'm using a lowercase. Now in few cases you will be using capital as well, but for now in this case we are using lowercase. I'll be explaining where in which all places you will be using the capital ones. Okay, in our future video. One step at a time, guys. One step at a time, guys. All right, one step at a time. Okay, let's go slowly so that you can understand and absorb and assimilate whatever I'm telling you. What I'm going to do is I'm calling the transform menu by typing transform into our update function. And all right, so my C# is actually kind of acting cranky right now. It does weird stuff every now and then, but you don't have to worry. You just have to type it back again, and maybe. All right, and we are going to call rotate function into our script, and let's give it. All right, so we are going to update our movement function into this. So I'm going to type movement. All right, now that is updated. All right, that looks good to me. I think we are done with our script. Let us save our script first. And as soon as we are done saving, it'll get updated, directly updated into our game engine. So let's open our game engine. Come on. All right, so I've opened our game engine. It got updated into our Revolve script. What I'm going to do is, first things first, let's bring these three objects. Not the three objects. I think I'll just bring the sun out, because I want our game holder, the position of our game holder. All right, no, I think I'll have to bring all the three objects out, because these two objects are attached to our game holder. So if I make changes inside our game holder, it's also gonna reflect into our different objects whichever are present inside our game holder. Let us bring that out as well. And right now I have unparented it. Now game holder is an independent holder right now. So what I want to do is I want my game holder to be placed exactly at a place, exactly at the position, exactly at a coordinate of our sun. So let me go ahead and copy the transform qualities, the properties of our sun, and paste it inside our game holder. So, and this is how I have updated the information. Now let's go ahead and reparent our three objects, make this objects as a child to our parent game holder. All right, now that's being done. What we are going to do now is we are going to attach our Revolve script to our game holder. So there are three ways you can do that. You can drag directly from here and place it on top of game holder. Otherwise, you can go ahead and click and drag it over here and place it over here. Otherwise, the third way how you can do is you can also go ahead and click on add components and search via our name Revolve, and it's going to show up over here in the search panel. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Now guys, if you can look at this options XI, YI and ZI, this is the exact thing what we updated in our what we have updated in our movement function. XI, YI and ZI is the same thing being called over here, and that is the exact thing what I needed for our example, because I wanted to independently control all these options XI, YI and ZI, and that is exactly what is happening over here. But if you look at this game objects, three game objects over here, you can see this green arrow, it's pointing towards your y-axis. So if you make changes on your y-axis, our objects are going to rotate. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is let's give it a value of maybe 60. All right, I think I'll be updating 60 for this example, and let's enter that value and let's start, because it's the script is already linked to all the three objects. Since it's linked to our game holder, it'll be applicable to all the three objects. Let's hit on play. All right, that's scary fast actually, right? That's frightening actually. If you look at the speed, it's really fast. So let us try to bring down the value. Maybe what we are going to do is let's go ahead and maybe give it 10 and hit play. All right, this looks fine to me. This looks okay, but it's not as smooth as I expected. So let's come out of the game panel. Maybe we'll update 5. All right, and start playing. It still doesn't look very smooth. Yeah, there's one more way how we can make this objects rotate and revolve around. Right now it's not revolving. I'm going to show you how to, it's not rotating, only the sun is rotating. The other two objects are not rotating. I'm definitely going to go ahead and show you how to make that happen inside our game engine. Just bear with me for a while. Let's go ahead and first smoothen this process up. So let's come out of our game play menu, and let's update few things inside our Revolve function. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply it with something called as time dot, not time out. All right, time dot delta time. So what this basically does is it actually smoothens the rotation, revolution, and quite a lot of stuff, not just this property, but there are a lot of things that we'll be understanding where we'll be using time dot delta time, this information into our script. And it's quite a useful stuff, and I'll be explaining, you'll be seeing through the examples, different type of examples. Right, so I want you to go ahead and multiply it with time dot delta time. It's going to smoothen up the rotation or any movement that we have involved into our script. Now let's go ahead and give it a good value. I'm going to go ahead and give it maybe 60. All right. So I've updated 60. Let's hit on play. All right, it's still fast. I think I did not save our script. So after, as soon as you update, always make sure that you go ahead and save the updation. All right, I think now it's saved. And let's go back to our game engine. And hopefully by the time I'm here, it's already updated. And let's hit on play. All right, now you can look, it looks beautiful. It looks pretty smooth, very sleek, very smooth, right? It's not a pain in your eye, right? You can, probably relax looking at this stuff. All right. All right. So that being done, let's go ahead and uh, give this two boxes the property to rotate on their own axis as well. So let's make that happen. Now what I'm going to do is first I'm going to click on box 1 and going to attach the same script, and maybe box 1, I think I would like the box 1 to be a little faster than the box 2. So let's give it a value of maybe 65, and let's go ahead and click on box 2 component. All right, so I'm going to add the same script, Revolve script, and maybe this one I'll give a value of 40. All right, pretty nice, very nice. Let's click on our play button over here. All right, now you can see our boxes are rotating on their own axis as well as they are revolving around sun. This looks pretty good, but since these boxes are not spherical surfaces, you can actually rotate it all over the place, right? That would sound pretty exciting. Let's go ahead and make those changes. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and give some random value on X and Z axis. Kind of make it a little interesting over here just for us to watch. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to come out of our gameplay, and maybe over here I'll give 25, and in our Z axis I'm going to give maybe 45. No, 60. 60 would be good. So these are just some random values that I'm giving. All right, and here let's give maybe 45, and here I'm going to give 35. All right, so after that updation being done into our script, let's go ahead and click on play. All right, pretty exciting, huh? It's got its own feature. Every box has got its own feature and it's doing its own thing. It's like it's got a mind of its own. Pretty exciting. I like the output. I mean, it looks fantastic. Yeah. You can maybe savor the moment, savor the anticipation looking at these objects, beautiful objects floating into the scene. All right, let's stop this. Let's stop this. And what we are also going to do is maybe let's give it a night sky as well. Now there are two ways you can give it a nice night sky, but for this example what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this plane and observe it from our y-axis. Why not make it a wall over here? So I'm just going to make it a wall, and let's rotate it in 90 degrees maybe, right? So I think it's x-axis we are supposed to rotate 90 degree. All right, and as you can see we still have this space which is empty, so I think our camera is supposed to be filled. It doesn't look good if this space is empty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on scale option, right? And in scale option let's go to the x-axis. Now it's perfectly aligned. All right, let's bring this game window over here, but you can still see that even after doing that we still have this place is empty. what we can do is we can actually work out in two ways. We can either expand, scale this out, but that's gonna make our plane look very huge. It's actually gonna be very huge compared to our scene. So what we can do is we can bring our camera closer. Maybe let's try to do that. Try to bring our camera closer. But there's also one risk, because if we bring our camera closer, it might also collide. Our objects might collide with the camera. So there's one more way how you can do this. Let's just bring the field of view, zoom in our field of view and bring it closer. All right, looks good to me. Let me just bring it a little and raise it a little bit and zoom on it. Let's go ahead and check it inside our. All right, pretty nice. One more thing I'm going to do to make it exciting, let's go ahead and select our box tool. And in the texture, let's go to our texture. And in the texture, let us click on this object. Now this is the same texture applied to both the boxes. So mind you, if you make any changes on this texture, it's going to be applicable and it's going to reflect on both this object as well. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make changes in our material, so that because the texture is applied to this material, so any changes that I make inside this material is definitely going to be applicable on this texture as well, right? And texture of this object as well, and any number of object, whichever objects is attached to this material is going to reflect the changes made inside this material. Also, all right, so let's go ahead and do that. What I'm going to do is, all right, I'm going to give it a self-illumine texture, and let's make it bumped diffuse here as well. All right, it's brightened up our texture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slap a sky texture on our plane. Let's go ahead and do that. So inside our texture, let me go ahead and what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to go ahead and download a sky texture. So night sky texture, right? So night sky texture. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so you can select any texture from here, but make sure that it's a high quality texture. Don't select a low quality texture. This one looks pretty high quality. You can go ahead and click on filter and make sure that you are selecting an extra large image. You have to be very selective when it comes to texture, because it's very important to select a correct texture, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to skim around. I think this will be suitable to our texture. We'll try it out anyways. So let me go ahead and download this up. This one, or rather this one. That's 430. All right, so I'm going to select this one maybe. Not going to waste a lot of time. You can definitely go ahead and check it out. Please go ahead and do a research and select a proper texture to apply. But for this example, I'm going to download this one and let me use that texture. Right clicking, import new asset, and where is the sky that I've just downloaded? Wow. All right, so this is the one that I've just downloaded and it's loading. And let's go to our materials. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a new material and name it as night sky. All right, now let's go ahead and lock this inspector panel. I'm going to go back again to our texture and apply this texture into our albedo section over here. Now, since that texture material is created, let's push this material into our plane. All right, let's go ahead and check it out into our. It doesn't look very good to me. I think the problem with this is the scaling part. Let's go ahead and try to scale this evenly out. So, no, I still don't like the texture. I think I'm going to change the texture of this, this thing over here. Let me go ahead. I have also downloaded one more texture actually. Let me go ahead and use that one. So I'm going to import that texture into our space. And all right, so this is the texture. Let me link that texture to our material. I'm going to click on this and lock it out. I'm going back again into our texture and drop this one into our scene. All right, let me kill our directional light. Now you can see our texture over here. It's looking pretty dark because it kind of looks cool, but then what I'm going to go ahead and do is let me unlock the inspector panel first, go to our plane and go to our material actually and into the night sky. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same over here. Click on legacy shaders and click on self illumine and bumped specular is what I'm going to do. Let's resize this, rescale our plane and maybe expand it a little bit. All right, so I've just expanded a little bit on the x-axis. I think I still have to expand it a little bit on our x-axis and y-axis as well, bring it a little closer. And z-axis, no, I think z-axis is fine. Y-axis, I'll try to bring it a little closer and cramp it a little bit like this. So as soon as I play, this is what it's gonna happen. It looks beautiful, right? And definitely I'm going to go forward in our further tutorials. We are going to add a lot of elements inside and make it as realistic as possible. We are going to add some thunder, lightning, and clouds and particle effects and whatnot. We'll also be making swirls of cloud, and we'll try to okay, that sounds great, that sounds exciting. What we are going to do in our further video is we can definitely go ahead and create a solar system out here with all the 9 planets, which I will be doing in our future video, in our further video. So stick down the line, be along, and follow all of our videos, because definitely a lot of exciting stuff coming up in the future. All right, so that is it from my side, and this is Vishnayak signing out. Bye bye and have a great day.